Well, y'all, this is going to be one of the longer videos that I've made. I'm also still struggling with allergies and sinuses, so bear with me for how I sound. So pretty much, we're going to be talking about the resilient Jenkins family again today. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with who the Jenkins family is, it's pretty much a family of 6, almost 7, because they have a baby on the way, 2 cats living in a tiny 1-bedroom apartment. So there are 7 of them in total. There's the mom, the dad, the 4 kids, and the one that's on the way. So they'll be having 5 kids, and she basically made a video one day and posted on TikTok saying she's not ready to stop having kids, and her husband told her that if she can get a TikTok to just blow up and become a content creator and make that extra revenue, that they can continue to have children as long as they had the money to provide for them. And I made a video talking about this a few days ago. Feel free to go check that one out. I think whenever I'm done covering all this lore, I'm going to compile it into like an hour and a half long video. Anyways, the whole stick of this family is pretty much the mom saying that she wants to be able to provide for her children and admitting that the children are pretty much growing up in poverty, while also saying she wants her TikTok to blow up to get more income, that she could just continue having babies, which a lot of people found quite an issue with this. And if y'all didn't see that last video I made, they have a 1-bedroom apartment and the parents actually sleep in the bedroom and they make all the kids sleep in the dining room on foam mattresses on the floor. But we do have an update for that sleeping situation because somebody actually sent them bunk beds, which instead of setting up in the bedroom, they set up in the dining room. But just for the first half of this video, there's so much more that's come out about the situation, y'all, because people were sleuthing around on the internet and pretty much found out that Stephanie Jenkins' real name isn't even Stephanie Jenkins, it's Stephanie Thompson, to which she inherited that last name in a marriage that she was in prior with him. And pretty much, she would, I gotta like think of how I can word this because the YouTube word game I'm having to play, but she was pretty much with somebody who SA'd their mother when they was 16 and allegedly somebody else, and went to jail for it, and they're currently in prison for it. So yeah, she was married to him, and people called out the fact that she knew he was an offender prior to even marrying him. Not just that, but she used the N-word, and well, the mother used the N-word, and so pretty much people are barking at Stephanie for using a racial slur, and she's trying to defend it. But anyways, I feel like the intro was long enough. I just wanted to give y'all a bit of a recap to what we talked about in the last video and what we're going to be getting into now. But there is going to be more topics. I just want to do kind of a touch and go. So we're going to talk about the subjects as we come across them. So with that being said, let's just dive right into it.
That's kind of where it's like an issue because it's
where it matter.
Yeah. Clock that. Clock it.
I don't know what I would like to see what people are talking about.
She was out here. Somebody said a comment to her, and she said, "Yeah, that's what's up, Ma.
That's what's up, Ma." Mm-hmm.
Oh, and Marquise, just to defend this topic, since we've been
Defend it.
Screw a black man don't make you black. I'm sorry, Drew. I don't care what you say. The answer is no to that. The answer is no to using the N-word as a white woman. I'm sorry.
There's no pass.
There's a hard no for me, but I want you to go ahead. Go right ahead with it.
Hold on. Marquise, can you hear me or no?
I can hear you. Yeah. I'm waiting on this one, brother.
Oh yeah. Since I've known her, she's never used any kind of racial slur or anything. I've never.
You got black friends too.
Forever. I've never seen this on her Facebook. I have to go down and look, see what's going. So I've never seen that.
I put up the screenshot.
Can you mute them? I can't hear them.
You want me to? I mean, I know a couple of us have it.
And I will be happy to put you in the big box.
We're gonna go because
nothing like a good old receipt.
Okay, hold the line.
Nothing like a good receipt.
I'm not going to be sharing that receipt, but it is out there. If y'all want to find it, it is readily available. If y'all just quite literally search Stephanie Jenkins and word slur, it's out there. But pretty much she did reply with a slur to somebody who had commented something, and the internet basically jumped her for it. Everybody clocked her and was saying how wrong that it was, and her husband tried to defend her by saying, well, I've never known her to use a racial slur since I've known her, but it was clocked and it's out there on the internet, so yeah, they're just not having it. So in the last video as well, we talked about the first baby mom, which her name is now by Arlita over on TikTok. And pretty much she came forward with her own story to knowing Andrew Jenkins and said that unfortunately enough, he was her sperm donor at a given point and they had a baby together, but he never really stepped up. He walked out of their life basically when the kid was 5, tried to evade paying child support for the kid. Then he did come forward and was like, no, I've been paying child support via garnishment, which we talked about that. And that's basically court ordered that he has to pay it. But anyways, she was saying that her kid is now 12 and he's asked questions like, where is my dad? Can I see him? Can we have a conversation with him? And she just knows that's not going to happen. She talked about how she reached out multiple times in the past to try to get this to happen, but Andrew quite literally just ignores her. But this was brought up in this TikTok live, and again, Stephanie tried to defend Andrew basically by saying that he has reached out in the past, but Arlita, the mom, was just making it extremely difficult to actually be in the son's life and is very controlling. Basically, try to make it seem like it was Arlita's fault why Andrew is not involved with his kid.
Were you aware of this baby when y'all got together?
Oh yeah, Drew's never hidden anything from me.
So if there's truth to it, because she seems to be very credible, if there is a pattern that is noticed with the man where he has baby or babies, because the rumor is there's more than one, out here that you are aware that are not being financially supported, why is it that you then lay down and start making babies with them as well?
Since we got together, he was paying all of the child support through all of his pay when he was working with W-2. The only time that it hasn't been garnished directly from anything is since we switched to self-employment.
Mm-hmm. So how much time was he spending with the oldest baby before? Because the mom said he hadn't seen the baby in years. He has this kid out here that he hasn't seen in years. To me, that would be a red flag for if you have a dad out here that you're doing for me and mine, and we're going to make some more, but you got this one over here that you may be sending money to, but you're not spending any time with.
I mean, and I'm going to say that I kind of personally, my dad, I seen him do that, and it didn't have the perspective until I seen it now, because my mother was always incredibly controlling over any kind of relationship he would have with us kids. And that's kind of the same thing we run in here, is anytime Drew makes an attempt, it seems like it's just a very controlled.
So there are issues between mom and dad that are not being stated, that is causing a break with this baby. Is that a fair?
Yeah, there's more to the dynamic than just the side, and I guess there hasn't been attempts. He hasn't made attempts in a few years, many years, but that's due to a back history that's not being brought up.
I have seen this as a common excuse with dads who don't want to be in the picture. Thank God I had a great dad growing up, but I know a lot of friends who their fathers walked out of their lives and never really had anything to do with them, and the dad's excuse would always be, well, I tried to reach out to you, but your mom's just difficult. So I feel like this is just a common excuse that most dads use if they're just deadbeat and delusional and don't want to be a part of their kid's life. It really just seems like Andrew did whatever he wanted to do, and there is that rumor that it's not just Arlita out there. There's other women who have kids with him who he is not a part of their life and doesn't do the proper child support. And one thing I've noticed with this family since I covered them in the last video is that they blame society, they blame other people, they blame their employers, they blame pretty much everybody but themselves and refuse to take any kind of accountability. Speaking of accountability, I'm going to give y'all a trigger warning because we're going to be talking about Stephanie's first husband, and she actually still carries his last name, Thomas. Sorry, I made a mistake. It's not Thomas, it is Stephanie Thompson. So, like I said, people were like incredibly super sleaze when it comes down to the situation, and everybody was very, very curious to get to the bottom of this family and their shenanigans, and somebody actually found out that she was married in the past to somebody who's currently in prison for very disturbing and vile things. Not just that, but it came out that she was aware of what he's done prior to even being in a relationship with him and had a child with this man. But anyways, like I said, trigger warning. Let's dive right into that TikTok.
26-year-old registered S offender from Washington is being held without bail after he was charged with kidnapping and S abusing a child under 14. Y'all, this is her husband. Mr. Jenkins is not her husband. This is her husband. You see, she even posted about it. Apparently she was so disturbed about it. But I don't know why, because that's not the first time that has happened. Actually, he was already a S offender before you married him. You see, Mr. Thompson has been a S offender since 2010 for essaying his mother and a 7-year-old. And you still married him. And it looks like you had children with him because her oldest daughter looks like him. Now, I think everybody that follows the Jenkins family should unfollow her and go over to his first baby mom's page, Nails by Arlita, and follow her. So maybe, we can assist her with his child since he's not going to. Since he's not going to pay his child support, maybe we should help her out. Because why are we helping them out? Why? These are horrible people. Y'all did hear that right. Miss Stephanie's first baby daddy, husband, Jeremiah Thompson, essayed his own mother. And you would think it couldn't get any worse than that, but it does. Because he was only 16 years old when he essayed his 60-year-old mother. Being as though he was only 16 years old, clearly Miss Stephanie had to know he was already an offender when they got together. This is Stephanie's mom's TikTok account, Maurice Blake. They look just alike, don't they? She posted this on July 11th. I'm not going to stop until I can say I am not scared for my granddaughters. Yeah, I understand.
I have a lot of really strong opinions and feelings whenever it comes down to what he did to his mother and a child. It pisses me off. But because YouTube's very strict and doesn't let people speak their proper opinions without censoring their videos or demonetizing them, I'm going to play the word game and do my best to tell y'all how pissed off I genuinely am without getting flagged. I feel like people like that are just genuinely disgusting, vile, and should not exist. But also, I think that it's incredibly disgusting for her to be aware that that's something that he was even capable of doing, decided to be with him, and then have a kid with him. That's... what the hell? I, on this channel, have called out so many problematic parents in the past, and I have a lot more content ready to go calling out problematic parents. But Stephanie Thompson is literally taking the cake of 2024 vile people I've covered. I feel like this video is like a Billy Mays commercial at this point because... but wait, there's more. There's more, y'all.
And then before this, Stephanie's mom confirmed that Stephanie lived with her mom. They had a 3-bedroom apartment. So she took her kids out of their comfortable 3-bedroom apartment where they had more than enough space and threw them to shack up with this guy in this little tiny apartment.
Yeah, so now we're diving into the CPS era that the Jenkins family has went through and might still currently go through. But pretty much the mom has spoke out and commented on a few TikTok lives talking about how she's called CPS in the past out of straight up concern for the kids. But then Stephanie made a video trying to address the subject and talked a little bit about her CPS experience and said that it taught her to cross her T's and taught her I's. Her words, not mine. Instead of saying dot her I's, she said taught them twice. But anyway, we're going to be diving into that. Oh, I forgot to say also, y'all, there is a second mom who came out. She is not a second baby mom that's come forward, but she is a mother whose son is practically best friends with Arlita's child, who is Andrew Jenkins' child, who he abandoned when he was 5 and is trying to evade paying child support for. He's currently 12 years old. We talked about that as well in the last video in the beginning half of this one. I know it's pretty confusing, but it's like a big chess game and there's a lot of moving pawns and pieces on the board, and so there's a lot of people who are coming out and talking about this, so bear with me. But y'all, to start the second portion of this video, we're going to be talking and addressing pretty much Stephanie's video that she had made, trying to address some of this stuff, but she basically just said that she wasn't going to be addressing any of the allegations because, in her words, there's nothing behind them. They're just pretty much baseless, and everybody's just talking to talk at this point, in her opinion. So yeah, let's dive into that.
Sure, you know, there is a lot being said about me, and I think that it's time that I maybe give my story, let people decide for themselves if they want to hear it from people who weren't there, who didn't experience it, or the person who actually went through it. I'm sorry if this video has a few cuts. I have really bad social anxiety, and sometimes articulating some of my thoughts takes a minute. I've heard people say that makes me appear slow and that they feel like I'm mentally behind because of my social anxiety. I've also heard people say every time we call her out something, she's speechless. There's a difference between speechless and sitting and making sure you don't just say the first thing on your mind. I learned that lesson. I don't just say the first thing on my mind. A lot of people have just already decided to hate me, and that's your stance, that's your right. I'm not gonna try to convince you otherwise. I'm just gonna share my authentic self and hope that God can bring in the right people. Please take the understanding that Jesus died for everybody. He doesn't not love me, and he's not here. This is what I mean about social anxiety. Jesus accepts everybody, and people keep coming into my comments telling me God doesn't care about you, he wouldn't better your life because you're this, that, and the third. I'm not going to do the same thing. I'm not going to be throwing that energy. I don't plan on stitching or duetting all of these nasty videos. I just plan on continuing to do everything I've been doing from the beginning and keep bettering myself as a mother first and foremost.
I'm not saying as a creator you can't have social anxiety. The platforms are for every single individual, especially I've seen a lot of creators who make content solely on their social anxiety and talk about their experiences with it. Nothing wrong with that. But I do think it's kind of crazy that she's trying to have this whole TikTok creator arc and YouTube creator arc while also trying to go about it like this, saying that, I don't know, y'all. You have to have really thick skin to do content creation, and I just don't think that this path is going to be for her if she's already having to make all these videos addressing all the shitty shit that she's done in the past. I feel like if you're going to be a content creator and you have a murky past, that's one of the first things that you should address probably coming into content creation, especially if like you're putting your faces and your kids' faces out there, because parents are bound to know your kids through their kids if they live in the area with you, and people are bound to come out and share their experiences that they've had with you. Not just that, y'all, but there is a creator, I can't remember the name, but they ended up, it's going to be on the screen in a minute so y'all can see the name if you posted it, but they called out when she tried to go viral back in 2022, and she posted this one video and they were saying it is wild that she's claiming to have social anxiety, but this is what she posted.
Be my motherfucking third random rants, okay? Listen, this doesn't want to stand. That's gonna be another thing I'm gonna rant about. Listen, okay, because I am damn lucky to be home, not out in that work field, and I give that all to my man, and I'm so grateful.
Well, alrighty then. That's working out really well for you guys.
But apparently, just because it's not my workplace, that don't mean that I'm not gonna bring that drama home. Because tell me why. When my man tells me something about his boss or his coworkers, I want to whoop their. When I want to go anyways. What the?
All right.
And I'm over here thinking about like some medieval weaponry. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying, you tell me when your boss is over there, baby. I can walk my book over there. I got some stuff. I got some juju to throw her way. Why?
I can definitely see why they may have changed directions with their channel.
And tell me why, when it's a woman in power, they're always bitches and they're always white.
Who's gonna tell her?
They're always white. What the hell? Why would you say that? You're white. No, okay. Yes, I'm white, but I'm not white. You know what the fuck I'm talking about. Them entitled. Okay?
I think entitlement is kind of like people who post on the internet with crazy wish lists and crazy wants and needs when they're not willing to go out and even work for themselves or try to change their situation, but they just expect absolutely everybody else to take care of them for the rest of their lives. I think that might be a better description for that word.
Man, I'm gonna go ice my face.
So that's what her content used to be.
Y'all, she's not helping her point. The way she's acting in that video is just absolutely wild, and like the creator said, slay with Alicia May. She's the one who originally posted that video we just reacted to. I think it's bizarre that she claims to have social anxiety, and this is the content she used to post. Maybe she's seen that direction isn't the way to go with content creation, and maybe a lot of people are giving her slack for the way that she behaved and acted and the things that she was saying, because y'all, if I would have scrolled across that video, I would have jumped to that comment section and gave her my 2 piece of thoughts. And anyways, I just think that that's bizarre, and I can see why they changed trying to make themselves go viral to now trying to make their kids go viral. Just an absolute unlikable little slug of a woman. But we still have a lot to talk about. I want to talk about the mom and what she said, because Stephanie's mom did speak out about the kids and the situation and had a lot to say, and it really changed the dynamic and how everybody was looking at the situation and how they feel about the Jenkins family and their struggle. Don't forget the mom also called CPS, saying that she was just highly concerned for the well-being of the children. We're going to be talking about and watching Stephanie address that whole CPS situation. But before we do, the mom is like a whistleblower when it comes down to it. At the end of the day, she is speaking the hell out, and she is letting people know the truth behind everything, okay? So the mom actually came out and said that the children and Stephanie lived with her, basically, and it was in a 3-bedroom house and the kids, or apartment, and the kids had space. So let's watch that.
See, I thought that for a second too. But no, Miss Stephanie's mom knew what she was doing when she said that. Wasn't about politics, because look, what makes you think I haven't reported her? And second of all, do you know how many little rights grandparents have? She has called CPS on Miss Stephanie herself. She would. Trust me, I could if I would. She would go get her grandkids if she could. She knows her grandkids deserve better, but her hands are tied. And she feels broken about the mess that her daughter is putting them grandkids through. It says a lot that nobody in Miss Stephanie's family has gotten on here and defended her, said anything nice about her. We all know she's a horrible person. So Stephanie's mom was in my live yesterday and actually did confirm that the apartment that they live in was Drew's apartment originally, with just him and his son. Then Miss Stephanie came over with her 2 kids and invaded Mr. Drew's son's space, which I just think is really selfish. And not only is he sharing his space, he's forced to share all his resources, the little resources they have. Now he has to share and has been sharing. It's just not fair. And then before this, Stephanie's mom confirmed that Stephanie lived with her mom. They had a 3-bedroom apartment. So she took her kids out of their comfortable 3-bedroom apartment where they had more than enough space and threw them to shack up with this guy in this little tiny apartment. Why would you do that to your kids? This isn't a situation where they were forced into this. Yes, they're poor, but they were not living like this before. They chose to live like this so that they can just be together and be trash.
This is crazy, because if this is true and there is validity behind what the mom is saying about Stephanie actually leaving with her children from this 3-bedroom situation that they had going on, which was enough space, close to enough space, a lot more space than what the kids have now, just to go basically shack up with Andrew because she wanted to more so just be with him at the end of the day. So that's why she chose to put her kids in that horrible situation. It's crazy because Stephanie has always said in her videos that she's posted to TikTok how they basically always have been in this struggle, and that's clearly not true, allegedly, if the mom said they had space before she decided to put her kids in the living room / dining room of a 1-bedroom apartment. Turns out as well, allegedly, that this apartment was just Andrew's and his one little boy at the time. Basically, allegedly, he got out of rehab and they were homeless for a brief period of time. And he ended up securing this 1-bedroom apartment for himself and his little boy. So basically, Stephanie invaded Andrew Jenkins' space with his little boy freshly out of rehab. Well, not freshly out, like he said, they were homeless for a brief period of time. So he finally got to secure a home for him and his son, which again was just a 1-bedroom, but just him and his son. So that's enough space for them. And then she invaded it by bringing in her 2 children to the situation. I don't like Stephanie and I don't like Andrew because Stephanie pretty much took her kids out of a comfortable situation where they did have more space to grow and put them in a 1-bedroom apartment with Andrew solely because she just wanted to be with him. And Andrew, I side-eye him for this because he allowed it and took away that space that his son had comfortably and now made all of them just shack up in this tiny little apartment where their privacy was just gone. But like I said, there was another mom who actually spoke out, and she is friends with the little boy that Andrew has now in the apartment with him. I thought it was a 12-year-old son, but it wasn't. It's actually the kid who's in the apartment with him. And pretty much, she was scrolling through TikTok one day, and the child recognized one of the kids and was like, hey, that's my friend. But he asked his mom multiple occasions, why do they have bites on their legs? Why do they have scars? And pretty much, Stephanie had talked about in the past and was very open and honest. And y'all can see even the kids have marks on them in certain clips on their TikTok videos. You can visibly see marked children. But Stephanie had addressed that they had a lice and flea infestation and possibly even a bedbug situation. So, yeah, that's...
Okay, so I just want to make a post really fast because I was just on Facebook and TikTok and all the stuff, and then I of course come across Resilience Jenkins or whatever their name is, and I'm just watching the videos. You know, mind you, my son is 7. My middle son, he's 7 years old. He has this little friend at school who he's been begging for this boy to come over and spend the night at our house. You know, he always takes lunch for the kid, you know, whatever, like shares the snacks with him and shit, you know, because they have snack time and the teacher has to buy the snacks herself. And so like my son would always pack extra snacks for kids who couldn't have snacks. Well, the teacher, my son's like, he wants the boy to come over so bad. And I'm like, okay, well, we'll think about it. You know, you need to clean your room, you know, because, you know, you're not cleaning your room. I'm not going to have people over at our house if you don't want to clean your room. You want to push stuff under the bed all the time. So, you know, I'm just like making the normal, things. Never in a million years would I be sitting here on TikTok watching TikTok and my son leans over and says, that's my friend that I want to come over and spend the night. And it's Resilience Jenkins' son. Not her son, it's her, Andrew's son. My son is friends with her son, and he wants him to come spend the night at our house because, you know, he just wants him to come spend the night at our house. So then I show my son the TikToks. Y'all, when I tell you my son was super sad and said he made sure to say that he's going to go to school on Monday and try to have this little boy come spend the night and hang out with him more. My son was like, they're TikTok famous, but then my son says, why doesn't he have his own room? Why doesn't he have a bed? Like, why are they sleeping on the floor? My son's like, what the? Because mind you, I'm a single mom of 3 kids. I have a 3-bedroom. Like, I have a 3-bedroom apartment. They have their own rooms. They have their own beds. And I know the CPS will flip out if your kids don't have their own bed. So it's really crazy to me how they don't have a bed and they're in this apartment. Like, you know, I know there is no help. There is no funding in Oregon. I'm in the same boat, you know, struggling with our rent and shit because there is no funding to help with your rent and stuff. That's a 2-parent household. They can both go to work. And her kids go to school with my kids. I know for a fact that they have up the street from that school, there is a daycare that will take your kids. You know, you can drop them off and it's right on 142nd and Division. I had my baby in that daycare until he got into all-day preschool at the very school our kids go to, and my son's 4. So I'm just saying, it's a small world. Portland, especially itself, is way too small to be running around being that reckless. Like, you had me get up out of my bed and make this TikTok because I couldn't believe how small Portland was. The fact that they are in the same class sharing snacks together is dad. And you know the one thing that my son asked me to? Why does he have scars all over his legs? And then I've read on here, I'm doing a little bit more deep dive. I learned that there's lice and fleas over there. Are you kidding me? What the them poor kids. Poor kids.
Y'all, I talked about this briefly about the wish list, basically, that the Jenkins family set up. Well, the Jenkins and the Thompson woman set up. Because, there's stuff for the kids on there, but there's also just random stuff on that list, like stuff that they probably just wanted. Somebody said that there was like really expensive men's socks on there that were clearly for Andrew, and people were like, I thought that this was like to better the kids. Like, why are we purchasing y'all shit? Also, I agree with the woman, because like she has been posting content for a minute now, and now she's posting content saying she wants to better the kids' lives, and people are like, well, you've been saying this for the past 3 years, nothing has changed or happened. But the fact that she's been posting content for so long saying that she just wants to do better for the kids while they all attend school throughout the day, and she could easily pick up a job even if it's working from home while the kids are away during the day, I just think it's bizarre that they're living in deplorable conditions and that she has the audacity to put not just her kids, but get 2 cats and bring them into that horrible situation. I mean, having a flea and lice infestation and possibly bedbug infestation, and you're just keep adding and adding and adding onto that by having more kids, getting more cats, because they did get rid of one of their cats because she said it had a skin infection or like some type of skin issue, so she got rid of that cat, and then not too long after brought it into the family. And she's aware of how bad the situation is, because she has stated and admitted multiple times in the past that, yeah, they are all living in poverty, but this is a situation that she's caused for herself, her family, and the 2 little cats now that she has. I feel like she needs to give those cats up, get them a proper home, and I feel like she needs to step her shit up for the children. She needs to start getting a job and working from home so they can possibly afford at least a 2-bedroom so that they can put their kids up in a bedroom. But then if she can't do that, she needs to go back to her mom's where it's a 3-bedroom and the kids will have proper space. In today's economy, it's hard to have just one income taking care of the household solely unless you have like some awesome career where you can just afford to do that. But in today's society, with normal jobs that people work, such as what he has, it's hard to provide for everything and everyone. So him telling her to get on TikTok and flip the financial situation with the promise to her that he'll have more kids with her if she can be the breadwinner, pretty much. Just an FYI, I'm going to say that this entire video is alleged. I'm just reacting to things that I see on the internet, so it is what it is at the end of the day. I just think these people are horrible and disgusting for what they're making these kids go through, and then adding 2 cats into the mix while also wanting to add more children into the mix. It's gross, it's negligent, it's bizarre, but yeah, I know this video has been pretty long already. Like I said, when I get done covering this subject, I have another video to make about them after this one. I just didn't want this one to be too long. So I'm going to wrap this up. Let me know your thoughts and opinions about anything we discussed in today's video in the comment section down below. I'm still sick, like I said at the beginning of this video. I'm still getting through that, so bear with me. But yeah, I'm going to wrap this up, and I'll catch y'all in the next damn video.